So this entire week, I have worked 7 a.m. shift, 4 days. It's the fourth day in a row. To say it. Sorry, it's the third day in a row. Tomorrow's gonna be the fourth, and then Saturday's gonna be the fifth. And even as soon as I get back from work, I hop on my computer. I start writing. Like I get back from work like five. Well, I go for a walk for 30 minutes. So then I get back. I start writing, and I've been averaging like 5 hours of sleep this entire week. But I still have like this hunger to like get to not skip on the writing, the run my community that's very small right now. We just barely hit 30 members and writing every day, writing on threads, engaging on threads, posting between all that shit, and I'm still like learning some Japanese and like these other languages that I'm learning and reading. And it's this isn't like I'm not using necessarily saying this to brag, but when you have gotten to a point in your own development where you've kind of gotten rid of the bullshit, you have shown up every day to do the work after a while, you start to realize, oh, and like I've also like I dopamine detox, like I don't even have social media on my phone. Like I do not scroll. I do not scroll. Like I have not had social media on my phone. Shit, I don't like I lost my phone. I'm like, oh shit, I'll just find it later. Right. When usually I'd be in the past, I'd be like, oh God, I gotta find my phone. I gotta find my phone. So I say this because it's not this isn't some like hustle culture bullshit. That what I really am saying is like when you have a clear, maybe not necessarily clear as in crystal clear, but maybe when you have a direction, a, for lack of a better term, a purpose, all that sort of shit, all the bullshit, all the scrolling, all those weird little habits, those tend to just naturally fall away. And discipline actually becomes a byproduct, right? And which is a very interesting I came upon because, you think you need discipline to get the things that you need to get done. But really, discipline is actually just a byproduct of having clarity on exactly what you don't want and what you do want and how to get away and the things you need to do to get away from what you don't want and towards what you do want. And so it's clarity, right? And sometimes you develop clarity from reading books. You can develop clarity from just sitting there and introspecting. You can get clarity from going on walks. You can also go get clarity um, from life just beating the shit out of you so many times that you finally get it. There's a story in The Seven Taoist Masters. It's a book about, again, I think I mentioned in a previous video where these uh these seven people are reaching to become masters in Taoism. And one of their vices is lust. And there's this specific story that it was telling about this one school, this one ancient school, and that taught these students to also become Taoist masters. And they were on their like final step to becoming a master, and they had to pass this one test. And what this test was they would give them a plank of wood, and they would have to sleep with it that night, like just have it sleep right next to them that night. And when they slept, um, they'd wake up or they'd start dreaming, right? And so they'd start dreaming that there was a beautiful like nude woman like lying down right next to them, and they're like hugging like this, right? And so when they woke up the next morning, right, they were required to bring the plank of wood to the monk or to their master, right? And when they presented the planks of wood, um, the master would take a look, and you could see like literally you could see like the cum stains on the plank of wood, and that would tell him that that person succumbed to lust. All right. And everybody failed. Everybody in the entire cohort, I guess. I don't know what. you would call them, I guess. But everybody in that entire cohort failed except one guy. And this one guy who passed, and so the monk asked him, how the fuck did you like, or everybody asked him, like, how did you not fall prey to that? And it is because all his life he spent a lot of his time, it wasted a bunch of his money on fucking brothels. And and so he literally like exhausted that part of himself and he learned like firsthand, oh, this shit lust, it really does it just fucking does nothing for you. In fact, it is a it is a what's the word? It's soul sucking, right? And that's a phenomenon that you see that gets talked about too in a lot of these like these Eastern or at least the mystics has said like sometimes you just have to burn through your karma, right? And sometimes and that means like sometimes you have to, if you want to get rid of your desire for money, sometimes what you have to do is you have to get so rich that you realize right then and there, oh shit, money is not going to add anything more to this life or to my quality of life, right? And so you understand firsthand from experience, right, that oh shit, there's more to life than money. And sometimes it could be the other, and another way it could be in relationships. It's like getting like maybe you're a girl and you keep dating the same abusive, like the same archetypal abusive dude, right? And then you might peel back the layers and you realize, oh shit, you have daddy issues, right? And there's nothing wrong with that, but well, there's something wrong with it if you don't try to fix it, right? But sometimes you have to go through that. Like you have to bang your head against the wall multiple times before you realize, oh shit, I should stop doing that, right? And that's one way to develop. But really, to take it back, like I spent years. My equivalent of that is I spent years, basically my whole life in an environment that was just like that goes against all notions or like literally how do I create the worst environment for me possible for my like own like development as a human being, apart from like starving me and like inhumane. Like if I were to perfectly starve the soul, how would I do that? And that's what school felt like to me. And I went through that shit for like 18 years. So I know firsthand what it's like to just completely surrender control of your life and just having that person or that thing just fuck it up completely. And that is why, like, one of my biggest lessons and the things that I will never, the hill that I will die on is I will not allow somebody, I will not surrender control of my life to anyone or anything. And even if that was like, even if that ended up being like a mistake, I would rather I make mistakes on my own terms than to perfectly achieve a certain outcome and um, without ever having any control or any say in the process. But really, to bring it back to the whole purpose thing, um, when you start to realize, okay, these like the whole point of life and exploring is you're supposed to find things. Oh shit, I don't really like that. I didn't really like that at all. Right? Like, okay, the classroom setting didn't work for me. Fine. I I know firsthand working in a traditional corporate, it's like a healthcare corporate setting. I I always knew that I wouldn't like it, and I have verified that firsthand. Yeah, I would not want to work this for the rest of my life. But right now, that's where I'm at. That's cool. Fine, right? So I know for a fact, I don't want that, right? And I traveled to several countries back in 2023. So I know now, okay, I want a vocation that allows me to do that, that is location independent, right? So it's like, and that's just on the macro scale. On the micro scale as well, right? You realize, oh, you know what? Waking up at 4 a.m., like it sounds sexy on paper, but dude, it's just, I just work better if I wake up at 7 a.m., right? Like I naturally wake up at 7 to 8 a.m. So why force it, right? So you go through life and you start to come to a little bit of clarity on like who you are, where you want to go, and where you don't want to go. And it's like you're kind of like settling into like this kind of this this equilibrium, right? And so what that looks like, it seems like is discipline, right? Because you stick to it, like you don't deviate too much from it. But really it's just kind of clarity, right? It's just you have an idea of where you want to go, and you have a clear idea of where you want to go, and you have a clear idea of where you don't want to go, right? And so all the little paths that you take, that you just keep going, you just keep driving through them instead of deviating from them, because you know that if you deviate it, it leads to hell. And that's not to say that you shouldn't ever like explore ever again, right? But you just learn more, right? You start to realize, okay, these are the things I want to do. These are the things I don't want to do. And so yeah, that's kind of my spiel so far is that's why I like every month now I've noticed that I've been able to hit a new gear in terms of like my output when it comes to work or like putting in work. Like I don't think I would have ever fathomed last year like that I would have been able to even work. Like there was a point last year where I couldn't even stomach working 5 day weeks at this job again. And that was what was preventing me from paying off the debt as quick as I could. But one day I just got so sick and tired of having the debt that I'm like, fuck it. All this debt is more painful than whatever fucking 5 day week can do for me. And that's not to say that I still like get tired of it sometimes, you know? But on top of that now, like on top of the 5 day weeks of work, I've actually written more, right? I actually have written more working 5 days a week than when I was working 3 days a week, right? Which is fucking crazy, right? But that's because like, dude, when you have an abundance of time, you also have an abundance of time to do bullshit. When you lack time and you're like, fuck, I can't stay in this job, then you really have no choice but to like make good use of that time. And and like that sounds like it's like miserable or something, but like that's actually way more fulfilling than if I just sat there and just fucking watched TV or like scrolled my fucking phone, like scrolling on fucking like Reels or TikTok, right? Like, dude, and that's the kind of choice that you have that you eventually have to make, or you just have to get sick and tired of like the just like the mind-numbing like unsatisfactory satisfaction of just like hedonism in those little hours. So I've been able to just shift into this higher gear and this higher gear and this higher gear. And yeah, there's a thing by David Goggins he says where like when you feel like you're done, really you're at like 40%, right? But the thing about that is like is also your capacity is growing as you put in work, right? As you show up, as you work with the constraints that you have, your capacity for work grows up. So your 40%, like your actual, like the absolute value of your 40% actually goes up with time, right? So you can do more and less. And so that's what happens as well. And and again, it like you just look more and more disciplined, right? But with more clarity and with more on the things that you want and don't want, like it looks like your discipline is also increasing with time, right? So all that to say is, yeah, I'm in this place right now where it's like, okay, I know what I need to do. I know like it's really not that like I've said before, it's very simple. It's actually very simple. There's really not much more complicated. It's not really that complicated. And that's why there are people who get into this space, into entrepreneurship, and like they're not the smartest people. They're not. It's like I genuinely believe that like being naturally intelligent will only really benefit you if you want to do some crazy shit like Elon Musk and the rocket company. But if you want to be like a millionaire, like I've seen it for myself, man, and I've talked to the people who've done it. They're not any smarter than than you or I. In fact, they're probably a little bit dumber because then they don't have that mind that just fucking overthinks. They just go there and do it, right? So in fact, like a high level of intelligence could actually be a disadvantage in this space, whatever you want to fucking call it. So hopefully that's all I got so far, really. But yeah, I I I've come to the conclusion that what I desire will happen. Should I just got to keep showing up. I just got to wait, right? So it's funny because just today my mom sent in the group chat this like she's on Facebook Reels and all that sort of shit. And there's a reel that was like these birth months will get rich this year. And at the top of it was my birth month, which is September, and it was in all caps. And could that be a sign? I don't fucking know anymore, dude. But the point is, I know that everything that I've set out to do has happened eventually. And every time I bet on myself, I win eventually. So all the things that you desire that or the things that you truly desire will surface eventually. But for now, we keep on grinding.